Moshe went out and spoke the following words to all Israel. I am 120 years old today. I can't get around any longer. Moreover, Adonai has said to me, you will not cross over the Jordan. Adonai, your God, he will cross over ahead of you. He will destroy these nations ahead of you, and you will dispossess them. Yehoshua, he will cross over ahead of you, as Adonai has said. Adonai will do to them what he has done when he did to Sihon and Og, king of the Emori, and to their land. He destroyed them. Adonai will defeat them ahead of you. You are to do to them just as I ordered you to do. Be strong, be bold. Don't be afraid or frightened of them, for Adonai your God is going with you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you. Next Moshe summoned Yehoshua and said, in the sight of all Israel, said to him, be strong, be bold, for you are going with this people into the land Adonai swore to their ancestors he would give them. You will be the one causing them to inherit it, but Adonai, it is he who will go ahead of you. He will be with you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you, so don't be afraid or downhearted. Then Moshe wrote down this Torah and gave it to the Kohanim, the descendants of the Levi, who carried the ark with the covenant of Adonai, and to all the leaders of Israel. Moshe gave them these orders. At the end of every 7 years, during the festival of Sukkot, in the year of Shemitah, when all Israel have come to appear in the presence of Adonai at the place he will choose, you are to read this Torah before all Israel, so that they can hear it. Assemble the people, the men, the women, the little ones, and the foreigners you have in your towns, so that you can hear, learn, fear Adonai your God, and take to obey all the words in this Torah, so that their children who have not known can hear and learn to fear Adonai your God, for as long as you live in the land you are crossing the Jordan to possess. Adonai said to Moshe, the time is coming for you to die. Summon Yehoshua and present yourself in the tent of meeting, so that I can commission him. Moshe and Yehoshua went and presented themselves in the tent of meeting. Adonai appeared in the tent in the column of cloud. The column of the cloud stood above the entrance. The people will get up and offer themselves as prostitutes to foreign gods, the land where they are going. When they are with those gods, they will abandon me and break my covenant which I have made with them. Then my anger will flare up, and I will abandon them and hide my face from them. They will be devoured. Many calamities and troubles will come upon them. Then they will ask, haven't these calamities come upon us because our God isn't with us? But I will be hiding my face from them because of their evil, because of all the evil they have done in turning to other gods. Therefore write this song for yourselves and teach it to the people of Israel. Have them learn it by heart, so that this song can be a witness for me against the people of Israel. For when I have brought them into the land I swore to their ancestors, flowing with milk and honey, and they have eaten their fill, grown fat, and turned to other gods, serving them and despising me, and broken my covenant. Then after many calamities and troubles have come upon them, this song will testify before them as a witness, because their descendants will still be reciting it, and will not have forgotten it. For I know how they think, and even now, even before I have brought them into the land which I swore. So Moshe wrote this song the same day and taught it to the people of Israel. Also Adonai commissioned Yehoshua the son of Nun with these words, be strong and full of courage. For you are to bring the people of Israel into the land which I swore to them, and I will be with you. Moshe kept writing the words of this Torah in a book until he was done. When he had finished, Moshe gave these orders to the Levi'im who carried the ark with the covenant of Adonai. Take this book of the Torah and put it next to the ark of the covenant of Adonai your God, so that it can be there to witness against you. For I know how rebellious and stiff-necked you are. Here, even while I'm still alive with you today, you have rebelled against Adonai. So how much more will you do so after my death? Assemble for me all the leaders of the tribes and your officials, so that I can say to these things in their hearing, calling heaven and earth to witness against them. Because I know that after my death you will become very corrupt and turn aside from the way that I have ordered you, and that disaster will come upon you in the Arkahet Ahayim. Because you will do what Adonai sees as evil and provoke him by your deeds. Then Moshe spoke in the hearing of the whole assembly of Israel the words of this song from beginning to end. Hear, O heavens, as I speak. Listen, earth, to the words from my mouth. May my teaching fall like rain. May my speech condense like dew, like light rain on blades of grass or showers on growing plants. For I will proclaim the name of Adonai. Come, declare the greatness of our God, the rock. His work is perfect, for all his ways are just. A trustworthy God who does no wrong. He is righteous and straight. He is not corrupt. The defect is in his children. A crooked and perverted generation, you foolish people, so lacking in wisdom. Is this how you repay Adonai? He is your Father, who made you his. It was he who formed you and prepared you. Remember how the old days were. Think of the years through all the ages. Ask your father, he will tell you. Your leaders too, they will inform you. When Elion gave each nation its heritage, when he divided the human race, he assembled the boundaries of the peoples according to Israel's population, but Adonai's share was his own people, Yaakov his allotted heritage. He found his people in desert country, in a howling, wasted wilderness. He protected him and cared for him, guarded him like the pupil of his eye, like an eagle that stirs up her nest, hovering over her young, spreads out her wings, takes them and carries them as she flies. Adonai alone led his people. No alien god was with him. He made them ride on the heights of the earth. They ate the produce of the fields. He had them suck honey from the rocks and olive oil from the crags, curds from the cows and milk from the sheep, with lamb fat, rams from Bashan and goats, with the finest wheat flour. And you drank sparkling wine from the blood of grapes. But Yeshurun grew fat and kicked. You grew fat, thick, gross. He abandoned God his maker. He scorned the rock, his salvation. They roused him to jealousy with alien gods, provoked him with abominations. They sacrificed to demons, non-gods, gods that they had never known, new gods that they had come up lately, which your ancestors had not feared. You ignored the rock who fathered you. You forgot God who gave you birth. Adonai saw and was filled with scorn at his sons and daughters' provocation. He said, I will hide my face from them and see what will become of them. For they are a perverse generation, untrustworthy children. They aroused my jealousy with a non-god and provoked me with their vanities. I will arouse their jealousy with a non-people and provoke them with a vile nation. For my anger has been fired up. It burns to the depth of Sheol, devouring the earth and its crops, kindling the very roots of the hills. I will heap disaster on them and use up all my arrows against them. Fatigued by hunger, they will be consumed by fever and bitter defeat. I will send the fangs of wild beasts on the poison of reptiles crawling in the dust. Outside, its smoke makes parents childless. Inside, there is panic, as young men and girls alike are slain, suckling and gray beards together. I consider putting an end to them, easing their memory from the human race, but I fear the insolence of their enemy, fear that their foes would mistakenly think, we ourselves accomplished this. Adonai had nothing to do with it. They are a nation without common sense, utterly lacking in discernment. If they are wise, they would figure it out and understand their destiny. After all, how can one chase 1,000 and put 10,000 to root? Unless their rock sells them to their enemies, unless Adonai hands them over. For our enemies have no rock like our rock. Even they can see that. Rather, their vine is from the vine of Sodom, and their fields of Amorah. Their grapes are poisonous, their clusters are bitter, their wine is snake poison, the cruel venom of vipers. Isn't the hidden with me, sealed in my storehouses? Vengeance and payback are mine, for the time when their foot slips. From the day of their calamity is coming, their doom is rushing upon them. Yes, Adonai will judge his people, taking pity on his servants, when he sees that their strength is gone, that no one is left, slave or free. Then he will ask, where are their gods, the rock of whom they trusted, who ate the fat of their sacrifice and drank the wine of their drink offering? Let him get up and help you. Let him protect you. See now that I, yes, I am he. There is no God beside me. I put to death and I make alive. I wound and I heal. No one saves anyone from my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven and swear, as surely as I am alive forever, if I sharpen my flashing sword and set my hand to judgment, I will render vengeance to my foes, repay those who hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood. My sword will devour flesh, the blood of the slain and the captives, flesh from the wild-haired heads of the enemy. Sing out, you nations, about his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants. He will render vengeance to his adversaries and make atonement for the land of his people. Moshe came and proclaimed all the words of this song in the hearing of the people of Hoshea, the son of Nun. When he had finished speaking all these words to Israel, he said to them, take to heart all the words of my testimony against you today, so that you can use them in charging your children to be careful to obey all the words of this Torah. For this is not trivial matter for you. On the contrary, it is your life. Through it you will live long in the land you are crossing the Jordan to possess. That same day Adonai said to Moshe, get up into the Ephraim range, to Mount Nebo, in the land of Moab, across the Yerko. Look over the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the people of Israel as a possession. On the mountain you are ascending, you will die and be gathered to your people, just as Aaron your brother died on Mount Hor, and he was gathered to his people. The reason for this is both of you broke faith with me there among the people of Israel out Mirvat Kadesh spring. In the Zin desert, you failed to demonstrate my holiness there among the people of Israel. So you will see the land from a distance, but you will not enter the land I'm giving to the people of Israel. This is the blessing that Moshe, the man of God, spoke over the people of Israel before his death. Adonai came from Sinai, from Seir. He dawned on his people, shone forth from Mount Paran. And with him were myriads of holy ones. At his right hand was a fiery law for them. He truly loves the people. All his holy ones are in your hand, sitting at your feet. They receive your instruction, the Torah Moshe commanded us, as an inheritance for the community of Yaakov. Then a king arose in Yeshurun. When the leaders of the people were gathered, all the tribes of Israel together, let Reuven live and not die out, even though his numbers grew few. Of Yehudah he said, hear, Adonai, the cry of Yehudah, bring him to his people. Let his own hands defend him, but you help him against his enemies. Of Levi he said, let your Tumim and Urim be with your pious one, whom you tested at Massah, with whom you struggled at Meribah spring. Of his father and mother he said, I don't know them. He didn't acknowledge his brothers or children, for he observed your word and he kept your covenant. They will teach Yaakov your rulings, Israel your Torah. They will set incense before the whole burnt offerings of your altar. Adonai, bless his possessions, accept the work he does, but crush his enemies' hip and thigh. May those who hate him rise no more. Of Benjamin he said, Adonai, beloved, lives securely. He protects him day after day. He lives between his shoulders. Of Yosef he said, may Adonai bless his land with the best from the sky, from the dew, and from what comes from the depth beneath, with the best of what the sun makes grow. the best of what comes up each month, with the best from the mountains of old, with the best of the eternal hills, with the best from the earth and all that fills it, with the favor of him who lives in burning bush. May blessings come on the head of Joseph and on the brow of the prince of his brothers. His firstborn bull, glory is his, his horns and those of a wild ox. With them he will gore the peoples, all of them, to the ends of the earth. These are the myriads of Ephraim. These are the thousands of Manasseh. Of Zebulun he said, Rejoice, Zebulun, as you go forth. And you, Yissachar, in your tents, they will summon peoples to the mountain, and there offer righteous sacrifices. They will draw from the abundance of the seas and from the hidden treasures of the sand. Gad, he said, Blessed is he who makes Gad so large. He lies like a lion, tearing arm and scalp. He chose the best for himself. When the priestly portion was assigned, when the leaders of the people came, he carried out Adonai's justice and his rulings considering Israel. Of Dan he said, Dan is a lion cub, leaping forth from Bashan. Of Naphtali he said, You, Naphtali, sanctified with favor and full of blessing from Adonai, take possession of the sea and the south. Of Asher he said, May Asher be most blessed of sons. May he be the favor among his brothers, and bathe with his feet in oil. May your bolts be of iron and bronze, and your strength last as long as you live. Yeshurun, there is no one like God, riding through the heavens to help you, riding on the clouds of his majesty. The God of old is a dwelling place, from everlasting arms beneath. He expelled the enemy from before, and he said, Destroy. So Israel lives in security. The fountain of Yaakov is alone, a land of grain and new wine, where the skies dip with dew. Happy are you, Israel, who is like you, a people saved by Adonai, your defender helping you, your sword of triumph. Your enemies will cringe before you, but you will trample down their high places. Moshe ascended from the plains of Moab to Mount Nebo, to the summit of Pisgah, across from Jericho. There Adonai showed him all the land, Gilead, as far as Dan, all Naphtali, the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, the land of Yehudah, all the way to the sea beyond the Negev and the plain, including the valley where Jericho, the city of date palms, is, as far as Zoar. Adonai said to him, This is the land concerning which I swore Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. I will give it to your descendants. I have let you see it with your eyes, but you will not cross over there. So Moshe, the servant of Adonai, died there in the land of Moab, as Adonai had said. He was buried in the valley across from Beth-por, in the land of Moab. But to this day, no one knows where his grave is. Moshe was 120 years old when he died, with eyes undimmed and vigor undiminished. The people of Israel mourned Moshe in the plains of Moab for 30 days. After this, the days of crying and mourning for Moshe ended. Hoshua the son of Nun was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moshe had laid his hands on him, and the people of Israel heeded him and did what Adonai had ordered Moshe. Since that time, there has not arisen in Israel a prophet like Moses, when Adonai knew face to face what signs and wonders Adonai sent him to perform in the land of Egypt upon Pharaoh, all his servants and all his land. What might was in his hand, what great terror he evoked before the eyes of Israel. Hazach, vin chizech. Be strong, and let us be strengthened.